When we think about war, we picture, well, battles, right? Fights for actual physical ground. But what if the real front line has shifted? What if it's moved somewhere else entirely? Today, we're going to dive into how modern conflict has become this intense fight to control the story, the data, and honestly, the very perceptions that shape our world. And for today's militaries and governments, this isn't some far-off hypothetical question. Nope. This is the new reality. It's the world of strategic competition, and yeah, even outright war. Okay, so how in the world did we get here? Well, it all started when the powers that be officially recognized a brand new battlefield. For literally centuries, war was fought on land, at sea, and in the air. Then we added space to the mix. But now, there's a fifth domain, cyberspace. And look, this is not science fiction. This is official policy, written down and agreed upon. If you look at the timeline between 2014 and 2019, you can see NATO. We're talking the most powerful military alliance in history here, formally changing its tune. The real turning point, the big one, was in 2016. That's when they officially recognized cyberspace as a domain of operations, right up there with land, sea, and air. And believe me, that one decision, it changed everything.
So, once you've declared cyberspace a battlefield, what's next? I mean, how does a whole country adapt? Well, let's zoom in and take a look at a really interesting example, what Italy is doing to reorganize its military for this brand new era.
Yeah, this is what we all picture, right? When someone says military power, you think of heavy armor, you think of firepower, a real physical presence on the ground. This armored vehicle is the perfect symbol of that traditional, conventional might. But here's the twist. The threats it's designed to face aren't just physical anymore. And this is the response. Check this out. In 2020, the Italian military created something new, the Joint Command for Network Operations, or JCNO for short. Now, this isn't some small side department. We're talking a 3-star level command. That puts it right up there with the top brass of the entire military. You can see it, right? The priority is clearly shifting away from just the hardware to the networks that connect absolutely everything. And you know what? The talent is following these new priorities. Just look at this number, 47 to 1. What does that even mean? Well, that was the ratio of applicants to available spots at the Italian Army Warrant Officer School. 47 people fighting for one position. It just goes to show you how insanely competitive these modern military jobs have become. If you've got specialized skills like in cyber defense, you are in incredibly high demand. But here's the really crucial point. This new command, it's not just about playing defense. The JCNO is built to go on the offense, to conduct its own cyber operations. And this is the most critical part. It's designed to weave those actions together with the traditional forces on the ground, in the sea, and in the sky. So it's not some separate, siloed-off unit. It's the new digital connective tissue for the entire military. So you can see this reorganization is way more than just tacking on a new cyber unit. It signals a deep, profound shift in military thinking, and it's all built around one core idea, something called information maneuver. Now, to really get what this new thing is, we gotta look back at the classic idea of maneuver warfare, okay? So the goal here isn't just to slowly wear down an enemy's army. No, it's about using speed, surprise, and pure momentum to create this psychological shock that just shatters their will to keep fighting. Think less about the brutal, grinding horror of trench warfare, and more about a lightning-fast flanking move that throws the enemy completely off balance. Okay, got that? Now, information maneuver is basically that exact same idea, but evolved for the digital age. We're not talking about moving tanks around a battlefield anymore. We're talking about navigating the virtual world. But the goal? The goal is exactly the same, to achieve a cognitive effect. In other words, you want to shape what your opponent sees, what they understand, and ultimately how they decide to act. And the key to winning this game is speed, but not just physical speed. It's the speed of your decision-making. There's a classic model for this called the OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, and act. Think about it. In today's world of just insane data overload, the ultimate goal of information maneuver is to get inside your enemy's OODA loop. You want to mess up their ability to observe what's happening and orient themselves, forcing them to make slow or just plain bad decisions, all while you're cycling through your own loop faster and better. But what happens when you have all the tech in the world, but you just don't get this new reality? Well, the Iraq War gives us a really powerful and frankly a cautionary tale about exactly that. There's a quote from that conflict that just nails this shift perfectly. It says that in modern conflict, The keyboard equals the Kalashnikov. In an insurgency, being able to control the story with a keyboard can be every bit as powerful as a rifle, and sometimes even more so. And in Iraq, the difference between the two sides was just stark. The coalition's information operations, they were often slow, clunky, and completely disconnected from the local culture. But the insurgent groups, they were fast, agile, and they got it. They understood this was a war of ideas, and they were experts at using real events on the ground to shape how people saw things. They were literally running circles around the coalition's efforts. You know, you don't even have to take my word for it. The assessment from inside the coalition was even more brutal. One British commander called their own information ops appalling and offensive. I mean, wow. When that's your own side's review, you're not just failing to win the information war, you are actively losing it for yourself. The stakes just could not be higher. Okay, so after learning from those kinds of failures and adapting to this whole new battlefield, what does the future of conflict even look like? How do you actually do information maneuver the right way? Well, a few key principles are starting to become really clear. First, you have to integrate every physical action with a virtual message. Think of it this way. An airstrike is also a press release. It's also about timing your effects, not just raw speed. And you've got to give people on the ground the authority to make calls. But maybe the most important thing is this. You can't just play defense, trying to knock down false stories. You have to get out there and create your own powerful, believable narrative. And at the end of the day, success isn't measured by how many systems you hack. It's measured by the cognitive effect you have on your adversary. And this, right here, this really captures the future. It's not just about the futuristic hardware on the one side anymore, it's all about the soldier on the other. Someone who is totally plugged into the digital world, able to shape what's happening on the physical battlefield and the information battlefield, all at the same time. The two are completely, 100% inseparable now. So that leaves us with one final big question to chew on. If wars are increasingly won or lost based on these cognitive effects, on shaping what people believe and how they act, then maybe the real battlefield isn't a place on a map at all. Maybe it's the landscape of human perception itself. Definitely somebody to think about.